Thank you for coming. We're going to start our little event. If folks could just find a seat, that would be terrific. So thank you. Thanks everyone for coming. Welcome to the 2025 East Greenwich Wall of Honor induction ceremony. My name's Dennis Lynch. I'm a member of the Wall of Honor Committee. Tonight we'd like to welcome past inductees, 2025 inductees, their friends, their families, as well as school officials and town officials, and everyone else who's come out this evening to celebrate this important event of recognition. The Wall of Honor was established in 2007 as a way of recognizing alumni of East Greenwich High School who had gone on to distinguish themselves in a variety of fields. Fields like education, law, business, science, the arts, community service, healthcare, just to name a few of the service lines. And the intent is to recognize these individuals, but it's equally important that we hope that that recognition translates into providing a model for present and future students at East Greenwich High School to emulate. And as I mentioned, the Wall of Honor was established in 2007. The architect and the founder, the key spirit that brought this tradition to life and nurtured it through these years was Bruce Mastraccio. And Bruce is here tonight, and though he would tell you that many others played an important role along the journey, and they did, it was Bruce who kept the flame burning. It was Bruce who oversaw the dedication of over 90 plaques on the Wall of Honor being placed in the school walls. This past year, Bruce transitioned the responsibility of the Wall of Honor to a new group of East Greenwich High School alum who will do their best to manage the Wall of Honor selection and induction process going forward. So Bruce, thank you for inventing and championing this important tradition for the town. Your influence has been and will be lasting. So thank you again, Bruce.
Thank you.
As I mentioned, Bruce handed over the keys of this operation to a new committee. And the other committee members, in addition to myself, if you could stand up, Matt Plain, Mark Testoni, that's you, Dr. Hug Brennan, and James Marusak. James is back there. Can you let us in? And Dr. Fred Procopio and Chris Neal were also on the committee, and they did a lot of work this year, but unfortunately, they were not able to join us this evening. We're going to turn to a somewhat more somber moment, and I wanted to recognize Jimmy Bowen. So James Bowen was a 1966 graduate of East Greenwich High School and a 2022 inductee into the East Greenwich Wall of Honor, and he passed away this winter. We'd like to take a moment of silence to remember Jim. Thank you. I'd like to ask Town Council President Mark Schwager to please come forward for a reading of a town proclamation honoring Jim and the presentation of that proclamation to Jim's wife Donna and daughter Ashley. So, President Schwager, this is a hand.
Thank you very much. It's my honor to read this resolution of the East Greenwich Town Council in memory of James Bowen. I didn't know Mr. Bowen, but after you hear this proclamation, it'll become clear that this was a man who had a tremendous impact on our community locally and at large. I also want to say hello and greetings to his wife, Donna, his daughter, Ashley, and I hear there's a lot of relatives in the crowd here for you tonight. So it's my pleasure and honor to be able to read this resolution. Whereas Jim Bowen grew up in East Greenwich and graduated from East Greenwich High School, class of 1966, And whereas Jim Bowen was a decorated Vietnam veteran, heroically serving from 1969 to 1971 in the U.S. Army as a Chief Warrant Officer 2, AH-1 Cobra gunship pilot, 101 Airborne Division. And whereas in May 2019, then Rhode Island Congressman Jim Langevin presented Jim with several military awards and decorations earned while in Vietnam, including 2 Silver Stars, the 3rd highest military decoration for valor in combat, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Oak Leaf Cluster, double, Bronze Star, Air Medal, and Oak Leaf Cluster, larger. Also the Army Commendation Medal, the National Defense Service Medal, the Vietnam Service Medal, Bronze Star Attachment, triple, and Republic of Vietnam Campaign Ribbon, along with numerous sharpshooter and rifle badges for his courageous acts. And whereas Jim Bowen was a practicing veterinarian for over 40 years in Rhode Island and Florida, and was named twice by Rhode Island Monthly as one of the top 10 veterinarians in the state, and whereas Jim Bowen was inducted into the East Greenwich Wall of Honor in 2022, and whereas Jim Bowen recently passed away in February 2025. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of East Greenwich and the entire community of East Greenwich does hereby express its sincerest gratitude for Jim Bowen's service to our country, to our community, and extends its deepest sympathies to his family and friends. Thank you. And we're going to present this resolution to Mrs. Bowen.
And I failed to recognize Lee Carney, the town clerk, who assisted in that presentation. Thank you for that. We're now going to hear remarks from the boss, from Principal Dr. Patricia Page.
I don't know if I quite live up to that title, but for those of you whom I've not had the pleasure of meeting, my name is Pat Page, Dr. Page to the students, and I do have the privilege of serving as principal of East Greenwich High School. It is truly my pleasure to be part of this year's Wall of Honor ceremony. I also want to acknowledge the 2 students. Talent runs deep in this district who are playing this evening, and that was Zoe Amber Homper and Emma Shea Wynn. So both of them are both distinguished members of the Philharmonic in Rhode Island. So as you've heard from others who came before me, tonight we gather to recognize and celebrate the remarkable accomplishments of our distinguished alumni, individuals whose lives reflect the very best of what it means to be an East Greenwich High School graduate. Their achievements not only mark personal success, but also serve as powerful inspiration for the next generation of East Greenwich High School graduates. During every morning announcement, a member of the senior class of East Greenwich High School states, "Avengers, you are one step closer to fulfilling the vision of an East Greenwich High School graduate, an emerging adult who is knowledgeable, skilled, connected, and reflective." Each inductee we celebrate tonight embodies those core values found in our vision of a graduate. They are knowledgeable, applying their education to navigate diverse challenges and opportunities with both insight and innovation. They're definitely skilled, demonstrating the mindset and experience necessary to pursue and fulfill their goals with both purpose and determination. They are connected, making a meaningful impact on both local and global communities through their work, and equally important, their character. And they are reflective, continuously learning from their experiences and growing in their understanding of themselves and others. As we honor these exemplary individuals, we're reminded that the foundation laid at East Greenwich High School extends far beyond these walls. It equips students not only just to succeed, but to lead, to inspire, and potentially transform the world around them. Thank you for being here alongside me this evening to share in this special evening of recognition and reflection.
In addition to the earlier proclamation, the Town Council has a proclamation in recognition of today's inductees. And once again, we'd like to ask Town Council President Schwager if he would kindly return to the podium for the reading of the proclamation specifically for the inductees this evening.
Thank you. I have to apologize to our town clerk, who I didn't introduce when we first gave the commendation to Mr. Bowen. She is a wonderful member of our town staff and also a Wall of Fame inductee. So, and Bruce in the back, thank you for all your work you've done for this event over the years. You've done an amazing job, and you've got an incredible new group here to take some of the weight off your shoulders. So, job well done. This event is one of the most fun events that I get to participate in each year. It's really great to see the remarkable East Greenwich students grow into remarkable East Greenwich adults. Some of them have moved on from our community, but they do come back and visit and get awards sometimes for their remarkable accomplishments. And everybody in the room here has some connection to these inductees, and that makes the event also rewarding and fun. For me, I've had the pleasure to work professionally with Alexis Meyer and Casie Rhodes, and watch them throughout their careers as they've grown and developed. And for Andy Revkin, I actually knew him when he was a freshman mandolin playing student at Brown University. We lived in the same dorm freshman year, and it's good to see you once again. You've been all over the globe since I saw you last time. So again, on behalf of the East Greenwich Town Government and the entire community, it's my honor to read this resolution of the East Greenwich Town Council congratulating the 2025 inductees of the East Greenwich High School Wall of Honor. There's a few whereases here that we'll get through. Whereas the Wall of Honor Committee was founded in the fall of 2007 by local residents and former alumni as a way to honor and provide a permanent connection between past and future alumni. And whereas the East Greenwich High School Wall of Honor recognizes outstanding East Greenwich High School alumni who have achieved distinction in their lives and or chosen a field after high school through significant contributions to their careers, community, or through personal achievement, to provide an incentive for current and future students. And whereas the 2025 inductees of the East Greenwich High School Wall of Honor include Alexis Lazarides Meyer, class of 1974, Casie Rhodes, class of 1998, and Andrew Revkin, class of 74. And whereas the 2025 annual East Greenwich Wall of Honor ceremony takes place on Thursday, April 24th at the East Greenwich High School in the high school auditorium at 6 p.m. And whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the past and present East Greenwich High School Wall of Honorees, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Town Council of the Town of East Greenwich and the entire East Greenwich community does hereby congratulate the 2025 inductees of the East Greenwich High School Wall of Honor.
Thank you very much. So we now arrive at the heart of the evening, and I'm going to ask Dr. Brennan to come forward to introduce the first inductee.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis, and welcome all. Bruce, again, thank you. Dr. Page, Dr. Schwager. Tonight is a real special evening for me, and it's born out of the privilege of making this introduction, and it's born out of the fact that the Brennan family and the Rhodes family have been very, very close for generations. I've been close to Casie and her brothers, Sean and Andrew. Of course, her mom and dad, Denise, and father, Mason. Mason and I spent much of our formative years together. And, of course, her grandmother and grandfather, Chief Donald Rhodes. I talked to Casie a few weeks ago, and I said, if I'm not careful, I'm going to stand here tonight and talk all about Donald Rhodes, because he was a mentor and hero of mine and played a very big role in who I am and who I am today. So I'm going to tell a story about Donald Rhodes. And the story is the spoiler is here. You plant beans, you get beans. And the story goes, Mason may remember this, the story goes back 30 years, probably more. And we were all in the local fire department, and there was an electrical wire down on Water Street. And we were there with our fire trucks, rescues, lights, siren, commotion, pendulum was there. And we had to wait for the electric company to come and open the road. Well, up pulls Chief Rhodes, calmly gets out of his car, takes a look at the telephone pole, goes over, picks up the wire from the ground, throws it to the side of the road, gets back in his car, and drives away. And we sheepishly shut our sirens off, and we went back to the fire station. But he had the wisdom to know it was a telephone wire. It was the lowest one on the pole. Just wisdom. But this type of straightforward, solve the problem, is how Casie has conducted herself and carried herself throughout her life. And I see Dr. Page shaking her head in agreement. Her accomplishments are both profound and varied. And at their center is a practical, disciplined excellence. Casie is an East Greenwich High School class of 1998 graduate, excelling and becoming a renowned athlete. In soccer, she had 20 career shutouts as a goalie. In basketball, over 1,200 career points. And in softball, she was first team All-State catcher. She won all divisions and all-state honors in 3 sports. Casie was inducted into the East Greenwich Athletic Hall of Fame in 2016. While attending the Community College of Rhode Island, she was an all-New England stopper in soccer, finishing 5th in the country at the National Junior College Athletic Association tournament. She achieved a quadruple double in basketball in her sophomore year, and she's the only athlete in that school's history to ever do so. She was an All-American in basketball in her sophomore year, and she was awarded the Distinguished Alumna of the Year Award in 2014 for the Community College of Rhode Island. With Special Olympics, which is such a wonderful chapter of Casie's life and career, she gave so much to that community. She began working there as a volunteer in 1997. She launched Special Olympics for the town of North Kingstown for all major sports. She was hired as Special Olympics of Rhode Island in July of 2007 as the Director of Sport and Training. She was the head of the delegation for the 2012 and 2013 champion teams in unified volleyball at the United States National Tournament representing East Greenwich High School. Casie coached at the 2007 World Games in Yunnan Province, China, and in 2015 World Summer Games in Los Angeles, California. She was the 2019 head sports manager for basketball, volleyball, and table tennis World Summer Games in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates, and was sport manager at the World Games in 2015 and 2019. Casie was the Rhode Island Interscholastic League State Official of the Year in 2022 and 2023. Casie is currently the athletic director for the East Greenwich Public Schools, where every day she comports herself with a no-nonsense sense of poise and purpose. Never the protagonist, rather she's the problem solver. Always the leader that she was born and bred to be. The 2025 inductee to the East Greenwich High School Wall of Honor, it is my distinct honor and privilege to introduce Ms. Casie Rhodes.
Down? Can you hear me? All right, good. Up? Okay, up. All right, good evening, everybody. Dr. Brennan, thank you so much for your introduction. To be added to this Wall of Honor is something I've never imagined, nor do I take lightly. This moment isn't just about me. It's about everyone who has believed in me, supported me, and walked me through this journey. I would like to thank the committee for my nomination. Congratulations to my fellow inductees, Andy and Alexis. Andy, your accomplishments are impressive, and it is your honor to share this award with you. I hope you continue to make a lasting impact in the world. Alexis, to be sharing this moment with you is heartwarming. You were, well, technically, are my boss, but most importantly, have been an incredible mentor. Thank you for taking a chance on me in 2020. As the athletic director, I have learned so much from this experience and have grown exponentially. To return to the very halls, courts, and fields that I once walked down and competed on is an extraordinary experience. Family is a group of people connected by love, support, shared experiences, whether by blood, choice, or circumstance. It's the people who show up for you, who celebrate your highs, weather your lows, and help shape who you are. Family can be traditional, it can be chosen, it can be big, it can be small, it can be loud, quiet, complicated, or simple. But at its core, it's about connection, care, and belonging. I consider myself very incredibly fortunate to have shared experiences with my immediate family as well as my chosen family. Family for me has always been where everything starts and where I return no matter what. It is where I learned the values that brought me here: hard work, kindness, perseverance, and love. My parents laid the foundation, often sacrificing more than I ever knew at the time. My siblings walked beside me and cheered me on. To be recognized by the community that helped me shape me into the person I am today is something I will always be thankful for. EGHS isn't just where I went to school, it's where I grew up. It's where I learned how to lead, to fail, to try again, and how to be part of something bigger than myself. East Greenwich High School was my chosen family. It prepared me academically for college, but athletics would be where I shine. All my coaches during my 4 years were faculty of the district. At the time, I had no idea how impactful it is to have teachers as coaches. When I became the district athletic director, some of the current faculty were young teachers in 1998. And now they're my colleagues. Having the opportunity to work closely with them has been a privilege. As an athlete, I played for multiple coaches. As different as they were, they shared many coaching philosophies. They expected us to show up every day and give 110%, be on time, and never make an excuse for a mistake. Just find a way to not do it again. One day at soccer practice, Coach Harrison asked us to scrimmage in small groups with winners moving on to the next competitive matchup. I couldn't understand why he was asking us to keep score when just a few years back, he was my elementary PE teacher. Every competition ended in a tie. I questioned him. I'm like, Coach, why? And he said, Casie, we need to learn to compete when it's hard and lose with grace at this level. That quote has been a foundation for my own philosophy. My teammates were my chosen family. We supported each other every step of the way, whether it was complaining about how hard practice was or just laughing until we couldn't breathe. Working summer basketball camps, trips to Hilltop, homecoming week, pasta dinners, and bus rides are all reminders that being a student athlete allows you to be around your chosen family. One of my favorite memories was playing at the Civic Center in 2 state championships for basketball. Although we didn't win either one of those games, it was the experience of being on a team, wearing the Avenger jersey, and having the support of the entire community that was most meaningful. Many years later, I had the opportunity to be one of the referees for the girls' Division I championship in that same very arena. In the spring of 1997, circumstances led me to another chosen family, Special Olympics. I began volunteering for Special Olympics North Kingstown in my junior year as a partner with my cousin Mike, who's here in attendance tonight. My Aunt Linda encouraged me, but really, let's put it this way, Linda never encourages me to do anything. She forces me to attend Mike's practice for track and field. This moment led the path of another chosen family, Special Olympics. I had no previous background in the sport, and quite frankly, any experience working with people with disabilities on any other than Mike. Thankfully, I was welcomed with open arms by Coach Lisa and Coach Candy Lodge. Giving me the opportunity to give back is bigger than ourselves, is the greatest gift we could ever give. I later was employed by Special Olympics Rhode Island as the Director of Sports and Training. Spending time with athletes, coaches, and families have impacted me in ways I will never truly be able to put into words. Being able to travel worldwide, watching athletes with disabilities achieve personal goals, and placing for medals is an overwhelming experience. One of my brightest highlights was being the head of delegation for the Unified Volleyball National Championship in both Salt Lake City and Louisville, and having the opportunity to bring the East Greenwich High School Unified Volleyball team to compete. Coaches Patty Carasato and Dave Egan laid the groundwork for a successful unified team. I was there to simply make sure that the job was completed off the court. Yes, we won gold medals in both those trips, by the way. Patty's here to celebrate that. But it was the family atmosphere that rang through the team. My families, both traditional and chosen, have all been such an important part of my experience and have shaped who I am today. To now be part of the Wall of Honor family is truly something to celebrate. To my family, my mentors, my colleagues, and the East Greenwich community, thank you. Thank you for your belief in me, for holding me to very high standards, and for welcoming me home with such open arms. The greatest gift we can give is to come back and lift others the way that we're lifted. And that's exactly what I intend to keep doing. Thank you for this honor.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Plain, and I'm a member of the class of 1994 of East Greenwich High School. It is my great privilege to introduce tonight's honoree, a trailblazing journalist, educator, musician, and global sustainability leader, class of 74's own Andy Revkin. Andy is one of the most respected science writers of our time. For over 20 years, beginning in the mid-1990s, Andy was a mainstay reporter at the New York Times, writing thousands of articles and blog posts on environmental science. His thirst for adventure and storytelling was clear early on. In the late 70s, he sailed from New Zealand to Yugoslavia as a first mate on a 55-foot cutter. In the early 1980s, after completing his master's degree, he sailed solo along the New England coast, reporting and photographing stories for Offshore Magazine. Over the past 5 decades, he has reported on some of the most urgent and complex stories on Earth: climate change, natural disaster, deforestation, and the delicate and often tense relationship between science and society. He has covered the Amazon rainforest, Hurricane Katrina, the Asian tsunami, and the melting Arctic. The New York Times sent him to the Arctic 3 times, and he became the first Times reporter to file stories and photos from the sea ice at the North Pole. He led a 3-part series and a 1-hour New York Times documentary that gave readers and viewers a front-row seat to the dramatic changes at the top of the world. And when the world came together in 2005 for the climate talks in Montreal, he filed the first ever daily podcast for the New York Times, blending storytelling, audio, and breaking news into something that felt personal and urgent. He's won some of the top honors in science journalism, including the National Academy's Communication Award, 2 Science Journalism Awards from the American Association for the Advancement of Science, and an Investigative Reporters and Editors Award, among many, many others. But Andrew doesn't just report from behind a desk. He lives his stories. He's joined scientific sailing expeditions across major oceans, including a voyage to the Pacific to study the debris field from the 2011 tsunami, and another off the coast of Alaska. He's also brought these experiences to life for young people with his book, The North Pole Was Here, which brings the Arctic's mysteries and climate science into classrooms and homes and through public education efforts in museums, schools, and on stage. His biography of Brazilian activist Chico Mendes, The Burning Season, won a Robert F. Kennedy Book Award, was translated into 10 languages, and was adapted into an HBO film which won 3 Golden Globes and 2 Emmys. He also wrote Global Warming, Understanding the Forecast, which accompanied the first museum exhibition on climate change created by the American Museum of Natural History. And yes, he's also inspired a Hollywood movie. His New York Times profile of a heavy metal singer helped launch the film Rockstar with Mark Wahlberg and Jennifer Aniston. Before joining the Times, Andy was a senior editor of Discover, a staff writer for the Los Angeles Times, and a senior writer at Science Digest. Beyond journalism, Andy has spent over a decade teaching the next generation. He's held roles at Pace University and is a founding director at Columbia University's Climate School, where he led the Initiative on Communication and Sustainability. And he also hosts a podcast, Sustain What? A global conversation on how to build a better, more resilient world. He's also been invited to work on the global stage, serving as a rapporteur for a major Vatican conference on sustainability, helping bridge dialogues between scientists, journalists, and faith leaders from around the world. And somehow, between all of this, he's also a songwriter and a multi-instrumentalist, performing with legendary artists and playing in his own band. He holds an undergraduate degree from Brown University and a master's degree in journalism from Columbia University, and he's never stopped learning or teaching. There's many, many other stories about Andy Revkin, but there's one more I want to share with you tonight, which sums up how Andy is as a human. Back in the early 1970s, when he was a teenager here in East Greenwich, he was swimming at a pond just off Howland Road. He saw a 4-year-old fall into the pond, and he was unaccompanied by an adult. Andy raced to pull that 4-year-old out of the pond and possibly save him from drowning. Well, that 4-year-old ended up being just great. He grew up in this town, he went off and did great things, and he eventually moved back to East Greenwich. And he moved back to that house right off Howland Road, and he's raising his kids in that house today. And that once 4-year-old boy, now man, Bill O'Rourke, is here with us tonight. Bill? And that's who Andy Revkin is. Fearless, curious, deeply human. Andy is a once-in-a-generation communicator, someone whose work has helped the world understand the planet's most urgent issues while never losing sight of our shared humanity. And tonight, we celebrate a remarkable graduate, a storyteller, explorer, truth seeker, and change maker. Please join me in welcoming and congratulating our honoree, Andy Revkin.
I'd like to say it all started here, but it actually started in middle school. I'm going to talk about 4 teachers as when I look back at the skill sets and practices that I've been using through these decades. They do come back here, but Connie Scanlon, who was at the middle school, had this most interesting assignment for us. Once a week, we had to fill 2 pages with words. But it wasn't write an essay on X. It wasn't directive. It was just fill the paper with words. It could be poetry, whatever you want. And I had, until that point, I was really freaked out about writing, whether it's ADHD or who knows what. I found, I would look over at some of my classmates in middle school, and particularly young women, my female friends, who were like writing beautifully. I could see they were writing beautiful paragraphs and getting through these essay questions. And I always felt petrified at that. And Connie, what she did with that, just sort of be exploratory, it really liberated me. And I ended up writing a fictional story. It was this multi-part thing called Exploits of Edgar. And every week it would be another chapter in this little journey of this guy. It's sort of like Hercule Poirot or something. So that's Connie. And then I come here to this high school. And the things that I remember vividly and with a great appreciation are the physical nature of the learning sometimes, and you'll hear about that in a minute. And then also the fact that even though a school is walls, and lots of walls and doors, there was a lot of wall-free education going on. And I'll talk about that too, through 2 of the other teachers. So the physical, Carlo Roberti, who taught geometry here, who I didn't fully appreciate as a teacher because geometry was one of those courses where you just had to do the work and get it done. He also was a driver's ed teacher. And I have to put the microphone down to show you. So I'm learning how to drive. We're sitting in a stationary car, and I put my hands on the wheel and at each side, and he took his hands and he grabbed the wheel and he turned it physically in a way that made me realize really, really vividly and physically that you can't put your hands on the sides of the wheel and drive safely. You have to be up here. And that really stuck with me forever. Here I am, 69 years old, and I still remember that driver's ed lesson. So that's a really cool thing. He didn't have to do that. We could have done this with slideshows or whatever, and he got involved with me in a physical way. And so I appreciate you, Carlo, wherever you are. The teachers who broke the walls were in the sciences. And here in East Greenwich and previously in Warwick, I loved getting out into whatever little vestiges of nature were here in our neighborhoods. And just this morning, I was looking at the area behind, there's a shopping plaza between, I can't remember the names of the words, there's the Hunt River, winds through a very suburban area, and I used to go fishing down there. And by the way, I was fishing in that lake. I wasn't swimming in the pond when I saw this young guy, young toddler floundering. I love fishing, and I learned my connection to nature here for sure, and also the ocean, obviously, as we all do in the Ocean State. But what I wanted to talk about was this teacher, Joe Laterra, who was a marvelous man, who I regret deeply I didn't go back to thank long after I left the school. He had a biology course where we were learning biology in the classroom. He was very innovative in how we could do that. And he was a Marine, so he was very strict and tough. But he introduced us to the Department of Natural Resources. He knew someone there, and he was the teacher here who got some of us working in the field in a salt marsh, trying to understand the productivity of the marsh by cutting into it and measuring the carbon. And it was that experience, not only that led me more into that connection to nature, but also to the apparatus we have in society to conserve nature. Our Department of Natural Resources matters. And my senior year here, and then through college at Brown, I ended up working for the Department of Natural Resources Marine Fisheries Division, going out on their boats, going out on lobster boats and helping them look at the sex ratios of lobsters. But that only happened because he got us out of the classroom. He broke the wall, that classroom wall. And then another teacher also, who I don't know where he has ended up. If anyone knows Joe Ferretti, he was here in the early 70s. He was there, and Jeff Tingle and I, we had an assignment to write a paper. And And somehow or other, Jeff Tingle and I convinced him to, hey, can we build a wave tank instead? A wave tank is like an aquarium where you generate waves and you look at how they affect a shoreline of beach sediment. And he said, yeah, sure. He was from Brooklyn. He had this amazing Brooklyn accent, for those who knew him. And so we sat in some corner of some room here, and we got an aquarium and I got a fan, like an electric fan, and some cardboard, and made a baffle so the wind would go down across the top of the water, and we created a beach. And we learned way more doing that than if we had just been writing a conventional essay. So he broke the wall. He probably broke the wall of the actual lesson plan that he was supposed to have us complete. But it was those experiences that helped me think and work endlessly to try to not just do the work in front of me. Like at the New York Times, basically our job was to write a story, get it in the paper, maybe there would be a letter to the editor, and you move on to the next story. When I created a blog at the New York Times in 2007, along with my regular reporting on all these issues you heard about, and the blog broke the wall between the journalism newsroom and the community of the audience. And it was a wonderful transition for me because I felt I was having a conversation with people. Like right now, I'd prefer to have a conversation with you all than to be expository, which is a unidirectional kind of communication. So some of that significant threads come back to the school and even earlier to Connie Scanlon. And it's a wonderful thing, even at this point in life, in which I'm still exploring that Sustain What project I do, which is a webcast and a blog. The title of it is a question, sustain what? Because words like sustainability don't have much meaning on their own. But if you start to say sustain what, for whom, how, then you're breaking something into, you're taking a vague idea and making it actionable. And again, the threads on all of that come back here. The one thing being back here too, there's another faculty member who I can't avoid talking about, which is my mom, who was a guidance counselor here at the same time. And she hopefully resonates here in the community still. And it's great also to see a cousin, Ben Revkin, on the faculty here, enlivening a subject as kind of brittle as Latin. so I get the sense that the wall breaking is still happening. So thank you all very much. And thanks to the committee and Fred Procopio, who could not be here, who spearheaded me being at this podium today. And all my classmates who are no longer on this planet, but are still in our minds and hearts. Thank you.
I'm not really good at microphones, so we'll give it a try. Good evening. My name is Mark Testoni. I'm an alumnus from the class of 73. Tonight I have the honor and privilege of inducting Alexis Lazarides Meyer into the Wall of Honor. I've known Alexis since high school. She was friends with my sister, her brother Jim was friends with my brother, and my father and her father Angelo were lifelong friends. All that being said, as I was preparing for tonight's ceremony, I learned a few things about Alexis that I did not know. What I did know about her was that she was a student of East Greenwich High School system her whole life, from elementary school and continuing all the way until she graduated in 1974. She was a class officer. She was a social chairman or chairperson. She was a member of the Aventurette dance team, and she was chosen as part of the Ivy chain for that event. I also knew that she went and graduated from the University of Rhode Island. She received a degree in education. What I didn't know was what I was going to discuss tonight with you. After graduating from college, Alexis worked in New York and New Jersey for investment firms until she returned to East Greenwich in 1985. She was appointed a member of the long-range planning by the school committee in 1991. She began her education career as a teaching assistant at the Archie Cole Middle School. In 1997 through 2006, she taught social studies at the middle school. During that time, she earned a master's degree in education administration from my alma mater, Providence College. In 2007, she was appointed assistant principal of the Archie Cole Middle School, and in 2009, she was appointed principal of the school. Alexis was then named Director of Teaching and Learning for the East Greenwich School System in 2018. In 2020, Alexis was appointed as Superintendent of Schools until her retirement in 2022, and was just recently asked to come out of retirement to assume the duties of superintendent until the replacement could be named. And she did so without hesitation and was unanimously approved by the school board. We've been truly fortunate to have such a wonderful educator and person as a member of the educational system of this town and as a member of the town itself. It is with great humility and honor that I induct Alexis Lazarides Meyer as a member of the 2025 Wall of Honor. Alexis can't be here tonight. Unfortunately, Alexis can't be here tonight. There was a family emergency. So accepting the award for her will be Mr. Victor Mercurio.
This is quite unexpected. First of all, thank you to the members of the committee, and congratulations to Andrew and Casie. Congratulations to both of you. Obviously, I did not have anything prepared, and I'm not worthy to accept this on Alexis's behalf, but I will, just to kind of build on what Andrew was talking about. I had the honor and privilege of working with and learning from Alexis Meyer, and I really mean it was an honor and privilege to be able to do so. Many folks in the town don't realize that I'm actually married to a graduate of this high school, and all of my in-laws are graduates of this high school. And they would talk about their classmates and their fellow alumni in multiple stories, as you can imagine, during the holiday season, multiple stories. They were all larger-than-life characters. And Alexis Meyer, for me, is absolutely one of those folks, larger than life. All of the folks that you see on the Wall of Honor, I was able to ask Alexis questions about each and every one of them, and she brought them all to life. It was really humbling to be able to work with and learn from someone who dedicated her and is still dedicating her entire life to not only the school district here, but the entire community of East Greenwich. I can't tell you how much I learned from her in the multiple roles that she had. And to my understanding and my knowledge, Alexis Meyer is the first graduate of the public schools here who held the role of superintendent. One of the things that I always said repeatedly is that when she became superintendent in extremely difficult circumstances in 2020, I said this directly to Alexis, she was absolutely the most perfect person for the role in the most imperfect of times. And I said that to her multiple times throughout the course of her tenure as superintendent. I said, the community absolutely needs you. They trust you, they love you, they have history with you, and they will take your direction, and you will be able to navigate uncharted waters for everyone. I cannot impress upon you enough that coming here is part of my travel here, and the way that I ended up here. Alexis was on the committee that actually hired me. I don't know if that was a good thing or a bad thing. She was on the committee that hired me. And from the very beginning of my time here, she helped me understand the dynamics of the community. More importantly, she helped me understand the dynamics of the history of this community. One of the things that I said to Elizabeth McNamara in my last interview with her several years ago was that it seems like all roads lead back to East Greenwich. And Andrew, I will tell you that thank you for saving Bill, because in my senior year, I was the goalkeeper when Bill scored the winning goal for that evil school in Warwick that starts with a B that shall remain nameless. So thank you for that. I'm indebted to you for that. But as I mentioned, I did not have anything prepared, but this is a real honor and privilege for me to be here to accept this on Alexis's behalf. So thank you.
Wow, that was high quality, unprepared remarks. Terrific job. Thank you so much. So as it relates to the plaques, I just wanted to point out that the smaller plaques that have been prepared, those go home with the inductees. The larger plaques that you see in back with the pictures and the accomplishments, those stay and go on the wall of the high school. And these 3 plaques are the last 3 plaques that are going up on the wall. So there will be a new format next year, to be determined. We're going to talk to ChatGPT about it, but there's going to be a new methodology. So you should take some pride and happiness in the fact that you are the last 3, and we found those 3 spaces. Dr. Page was good enough to find them for us. So that's a signal part of the evening tonight. So we would like to, on behalf of the committee, we would like to thank everybody who came here tonight, the inductees and the family and the friends, and everyone who's attended this important event of recognition. Special thanks goes to Deanna Agresti, who did a lot of work for us with expert assistance on design and development of materials for the evening. We'd like to thank the accomplished student musicians who added atmosphere to the event at the outset. Thank you to the professional custodians and apparently the AP physics class who pitched in to do some seat arrangement for us. And finally to Dr. Page, who was immensely helpful in guiding us in form and format to make this the best possible ceremony, honoring the people who have walked and in some cases still walk through the halls of the school, which I think is a very special part of tonight. So please stay, please take pictures with the inductees, help yourself to delicious refreshments in the rear. Good evening and see you again next year. Thank you so much. You're in the middle. He freeloaded all the time. I'm going to get